Hey there, welcome to the A.D.K Rock and Metal Network. I am Dave Dawes, and joining me today is Andy Edwards from Nomadic Rain and Kirk Houghton from Scream Blast Repeat. Today we are back, we're doing some more Speed of Light. We are doing the final out of 4 songs that we've done for them, which is Shuffle, Teeth and Pain on the Chain. It's been a bit of a mixed bag so far. So the final one is a song called Tightrope. It's from their Jam in a Van series, which is where they basically are effectively playing live, but with no audience. It's a great way to hear exactly what everything sounds like. From a live show without any sort of like distortion. You're getting this really clean mix. So yeah, let's check this one out. This is Speed of Light and Tightrope.
This next one's called Tightrope. Thank you for got it made when I could.
Okay, there we go. Speed of Light and Tightrope. Kirk, over to you.
Yeah, garage rock, wasn't it? So if you look at the age of this band, they were all born in the 21st century, but they're obsessed with the 1990s. And there were elements in there of the Breeders. You know that famous song Cannonball by the Breeders? Do, 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 with that bass. He was actually doing that on guitar at one point. Yeah, very simple riff. I think I'd grown bored of it after hearing it after just 12 bars, but it worked though, didn't it? Because it sets the scene for Riley to come in on the vocals. A good drum performance on that. I thought the guitar player wanted to make it heavier at times. The limitations were there's just one of them. So this is a band that probably would benefit from a second guitar player, but clearly they'd have to be blood related. And I don't know if they'd extend positions in the band to cousins or uncles. And maybe he's going to be a sibling. But very predictable song. And I just... The one thing I will say, at least it's got more edge than that indie rock from the early 2000s that dominated MTV2. You know, that were influenced by the White Stripes and the Strokes and the Hive.
All right, yeah.
All those bands beginning with the, you heard one and you knew what the next 10 were going to sound like, and the major labels hoovered them up, didn't they? In that last era of the music industry before downloads and streaming basically just rips apart the whole fabric. But there's not really much to say there. Was there even a middle eight? How did they go between the second and third rendition of the chorus? Oh, I know. Actually, the drummer, he threatened to take things in like a double timing direction. Riley was like pogoing up and down. I thought it's going to go somewhere, and it didn't. I think these would be a better band in the studio because they're going to be able to iron out some of the flaws that they've got. It's very difficult for any band playing live to capture the, not necessarily the perfections, but the consistency that you're going to get in the studio, because you don't do anything in one take in the studio, do you? Just as in a film, you don't have an actor in a 90-minute film that just acts without a break for 90 minutes. And music's the same. There's nothing wrong with that, you know, when you go into the studio. I think they're going to have the problem, though, where they're probably heavier on record than they are live. And it's often the opposite with some of our favourite bands even, isn't it? Where you're like, God, have they ever just captured the magic of how heavy they are live on record? These are the opposite. So I probably would want to listen to them for that reason alone, just to see, am I missing something? Because that was... There wasn't much weight to that, and I'm not saying there needs to be, but if you're writing rock music and you've got an electric guitar, and he was playing one or two tasty little fills there as well, turn it up. That's all I've got to say on that.
Andy?
Vast improvement on the last one we done for this band, which was called Pain on the Chain. You say about the simple riff, Kirk. There's nothing wrong with that for me. You know, I didn't get bored of it. I'd listen to this song again, which is something I wouldn't have said, or certainly didn't say about Pain on the Chain.
Yeah.
That did have some power, it did have some aggression. I really did like the guitar sound. This time round, the guitarist's backing vocals did add to the song. They were higher in the mix, and you know that element worked. Riley's vocals on the verse were melodious, really, really good, but then she still delivered that aggression and that punk attitude on the chorus. I really liked that. One thing that wasn't utilised enough for me, there was a really, really short riff between the choruses, matter of 1 or 2 bars, if that. And I thought, yes, that sounds good. Then it jumped straight back into the chorus. So if you do accent, you know, this is what we was talking about. This is a live sort of setup and a sort of live showcase for the band. Go back to the rehearsal room, go back to the writing studio, and sort of maybe iron out some of the things that you pointed out, Kirk, and also extend that riff. There were some nice little licks in the chorus as well. So overall, much better song for me from other ones we've done. Probably the best of the 4. And I really like that one. As much to say, I could listen to it a few more times, you know, without sort of dismissing it entirely and saying, right, we've got that one out of the way. Quite enjoyed that. So
for me, listening to that, it was a case of, if we were like at the 6-6 bar in Cambridge and that was a band playing that song, I'd have been head nodding along to that, because that sounded like a good live track. I'm not thinking about the structure. I'm just like, every time there's a scream going off, I'm like, fuck yeah, what's going on there? But then if you analyse it as a song, it's pretty much what I said with Pain on a Chain. It's got loads of good elements, but I don't think it's well thought through. Like you said, there was that great riff there, and I heard it. They were doing that up tempo, and I was like, you could have done a nice little breakdown on that same riff straight after and extended that out for a 4-bar breakdown before going back into the chorus, and that would have added a different texture and a structure to the song. But they skipped all of that. They're going, right, take that riff, put it there, do that, repeat. 3 minutes, got a 3-minute song. Brilliant, let's put it out there. And I'm like, yeah, no, you don't want to do that. Not at this stage. But you've got to remember, these guys and lady are teenagers, so they are still developing. And that's what I'm looking at this. I almost want to jump now to 2 albums time. That's what I want to see, is what they are in 2 albums time. Once they've got through the next 3 or 4 years of writing, putting tracks out, learning about it, working out how to develop their songwriting craft. The guitar, I mean, was when he was playing the chords, and I'm like, great. And then he started going, wee, wee, wee. I'm like, what the fuck is that, mate? That was awful.
Yeah, cannonball.
That sounded fucking disgusting. I was like, no, that sounded the weakest shit I've ever heard on a guitar. I'm like, don't do that ever again, please, because that was, I mean, your guitar tone's awful. Sort it out. And I looked down, I was like, is he just playing with like some little weird Zoom effects pedal or something, and that's why it sounds so bad? And I'm like, no, he's got a fucking master load of pedals there. Dial it in and work out what's right, or Riley's got to bring that bass sound up to feel that, because when he went to start doing wee things over there was nothing. Everything just dropped out, and I could hear nothing apart from that little wee thing, and I like, not good. I like the fact he was doing backing vocals. They're still trying to work out where those harmonies sit, because they're both trying to do the same line. They're not harmonizing with each. They're not doing like a counter harmony, or she's not doing an octave higher. They're trying to do exactly the same note. Yeah. And they're slightly off from each other. I could hear, and I'm like, yeah, it's hard when you're doing a whole note and you're doing it, because then when she went off and she started doing a slightly different harmony line and he held that note, it sounded fine. But when you're both trying to sing it, that's a fucking brave thing to do. You've got to be really good singers to do that, and these guys they're teenagers, they're learning it, so it really feels weird being harsh about it. But then if I sort of said, this is amazing, this is so cool, I wouldn't be being honest about it, just because you're like, oh yeah, but they're 16 and 17-year-olds. So take the criticism, work on the stuff. I mean, we got a comment on one of our last videos going, you guys don't need, you need to do some research, you should bow down before these people, they're amazing. And I'm like, my response to that is, we don't bow down to anyone.
He's watched the wrong
wives. Except our wives, that's it. But it's like, no, I was like, look, we have to be honest. I mean, this is a band for the future for me. It's great to see. I did find that by the time Riley did her last screaming on that song, I was like, this feels very one-trick pony. It's almost like we know what Riley's going to do on every song now. She's going to use that intensity and do that. I hope she doesn't get overly reliant. So that Pain on a Chain was actually the last of the 4 songs in the show order, which is why her voice probably cracked at the end, because she's done 4 songs and she's blown her voice. And that's a worry, because there's an over-reliance on that's how you're getting your intensity, is by doing that, and you shouldn't have to rely on that. I will say though, drums on this was very good. I thought you did a great job on the drums. I've got nothing to say about drums in any sort of improvement way, because I thought he did a great job for what he was working on. So I don't know, let us know what you think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed our video today, please do like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you on a video sometime very soon. Take care.